Hi, and welcome to the 10 hottest construction stories this week. I'm Larry Stewart with 4 Construction Pros.
And I'm Jonathan Kozlowski with Concrete Contractor. Thanks for having me today, Larry. This is a good list so far. Well, let's start out with CEMEX and carbon upcycling technologies have gotten into the nanotechnology game. Their efforts look to capture low carbon dioxide emissions to produce nanomaterials with greater reactivity and a lower carbon footprint. This would allow the production of concretes with a low CO2 footprint that meets the construction industry's requirements.
Yeah, that reactivity part of it was the part that surprised me. There's a lot of materials out there that don't react that well in the concrete process, and that's what they're working on. They're making the already existing materials, which already have their CO2 footprint in place, more reactive with the concrete mix. Our next item on the list, number 9, is Caterpillar's 336 excavator used to dig the CAT trial PAC-MAN game board. This was kind of cool. I went out there and saw that game board in Illinois. They cut this thing to all of the specifications of the original PAC-MAN board into a field 4 feet deep, with the alleys and stuff wide enough to run a skid steer down and get around the corners and all that sort of thing. That 336 excavator dug the entire maze using 3D GPS grade controls, and the typical time frame they estimated for a project of this size would have been 3 to 4 weeks. They did it in a week with GPS technology.
They could have just used PAC-MAN and just ate the dirt.
Well, kind of in this context, they did.
Next up, we have editor of ASPHALT contractor Jessica Lombardo wrote about a new Facebook group called ASPHALT Life. Members can talk about the equipment they are running, the jobs they're working on, and more. I actually checked this out this morning in preparation of this video. There's 24,000 members. Ooh. I wonder if any of them talked about the CAT and PAC-MAN.
I'm sure Jessica shared that stuff. We've been putting it all over the place. Number 7 is drop in engineering and construction costs as COVID-19 continues to impact non-residential construction demand. This is pretty interesting. Both materials and equipment, which is one subcategory, and subcontractor portions of IHS Markit's Engineering and Construction Cost Index came in below 50, and any number below 50 indicates respondents seeing falling prices. The sub-index for subcontractor labor costs also showed a slack in labor markets, with costs flat in the southern U.S. and eastern Canada, rising in the Northeast, and falling in Midwestern and Western U.S. and Western Canada. Both the materials and equipment and labor sub-indexes recorded expectations for prices to increase in the coming 6 months. But that seems to me more like a forecast based on contractors' experience with consistently rising prices over the last few years. I mean, the price indices have just continued to roll upward with the expansion of the economy. Emotionally, you would think, prices got to keep going up. But I don't think that really reflects the expected economic fundamentals. This next couple of quarters could be pretty spooky.
In responding to the lack of skilled employees and the labor shortage, Hilti announced their JBot, a semi-automated robot that's designed to do the dirty work of drilling anchor points into overhead concrete. And I mean like thousands. This has the potential to significantly impact a contractor's productivity, safety, and help in this labor shortage challenge. Honestly, Larry, I wonder if the further digitization of the job site might make a career in construction a little bit more attractive to the younger generations. So maybe the future's a little bit more bright.
Yeah, drilling holes in concrete is not a fun project. And, having a machine that can do that without having to pick up a big old drill has got to be a significant advantage. But that not having to go up and down a ladder or be in a lift for that work, it really has got to improve the safety side of this equation significantly. Number 5 was why contractors should model formwork. Use BIM models, building information models. The cost, labor, and time consumed makes planning formwork one of the greatest opportunities for gaining a competitive advantage in concrete construction. Creating formwork layout with 2D CAD files, which has kind of been the technology that has been most accessible for most contractors these days, is better than paper processes. Being disconnected from the BIM-STREAM opens the door for error and guesswork and risk. They present the technology for doing this through the eyes of contractor F.A. Wilhelm, who talks about how building forms from constructible 3D models allows them to estimate, design, and plan formwork more efficiently and uncover all those pitfalls before they turn into problems.
Next up, we have the Associated General Contractors of America came out with a survey that said that the construction firms are experiencing both project deferrals and cancellations and employment declines. They've actually urged Congress to pass new federal coronavirus relief measures to head off further job losses.
Yeah, that research that AGC's been doing all along the pandemic, I think it's every month or something they do a survey. That's really informative stuff about what's actually going on around the country in terms of the COVID economy's effect on construction. So number 3 was some interesting information on Dow Chemical studies of using plastic as additives in asphalt mixtures. Dow talks about the process it has developed and results from 2019 pilot projects where they were actually laying down mats of asphalt modified with recycled plastic on U.S. roads and parking lots.
Not to bring up the election again, because I'm betting we're all tired of it. This next article, published late October, looked at the infrastructure plans of each candidate. The American Road and Transportation Builders Association included some predictions and expectations regarding a few construction-related issues.
Yeah, I think there were some outcomes covered in the most recent update on that story, too. Outcomes of the funding measures and stuff in various states. And then our number 1, the most read story of the last week on forconstructionpros.com was how to ensure all is forgiven under the Paycheck Protection Program. Gary Bartecki is managing member of GB Financial Services, an accounting group, essentially, that does a lot of business in the construction and construction equipment industry. He expects the size of construction's take from the PPP loans to draw really close oversight from the Small Business Administration as contractors apply for loan forgiveness. Contractors took like $64 billion worth of PPP loans. They're a big chunk of them, and so they're really going to get attention. And in this story, he lays out the information that you're going to need and the steps that you're going to have to take to maximize your chances of convincing the feds to forgive your loan. So it's definitely one you want to see.
Did you say billion?
Yep. There was a lot of money in that PPP program, and it really did make a big difference in the economy over the last quarter or more. That's why we keep talking about stimulus money. It really worked in the interim quarters, since March, and the industry is really looking forward to seeing more money come forth like that, because like I said, the economists are not encouraging about the next 2 quarters in the construction industry. The economy could really tank without stimulus money. So,
yeah,
those are the top stories of the last week. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you have a great weekend.
Be safe out there.